All right, Adriana, let's take a look at your paper. Emily format, everything looks good so far. Downfall of all great men. Semi-intriguing, but I think you could even be more specific or draw one of the elements in there. I know it's all about the sense of power, but I don't know, it seems a little just too plain right now. All right, first sentence, you jump right into Macbeth, and I feel like you can ease into it, especially the first time you mention the character's name. You're going to want to mention the author too. So if you're going to go that route and mention him right away, you better mention that it's from William Shakespeare's play Macbeth. So you don't mention that to the very end, which you've already talked about Macbeth, 5 times before you even get to the thesis statement. So you're going to want to do that. I don't get a real good sense of the topic either of your paper. I know that most of it derives or is found in the thesis statement, but I get a sense that you need to introduce this topic much sooner. He was able to kill his best friend in the pursuit of more power, which is true, but that's more of a fact of the play and not maybe an analysis of the play. So you definitely want to look at that. And I don't know if there's a good sense of maybe what main points are coming up either. I'll be more clear to me once I read them. Your thesis statement is good, except, and I don't know if we worked on this, how much we worked on this one together. This really should be the word that allows us a bit ambition to consume him, or which shows a blatant disregard for his previous moral constraints. And when you use and, it makes it seem like a fact, whereas which or that makes it seem like a byproduct of it. So you might want to work on the wording of that thesis statement as well. All right, so topic sentence could be a little bit stronger. It's more of a fact. He's reminded which are right and which ones are considered wrong. But, you're focusing solely on Duncan. So this makes it seem like this is throughout the whole play. So really this topic sentence should be more focused on Duncan. During his killing of Duncan, his subconscious continually reminds him. And, we'll get to this in a second, tie it in back to the moral here, or the thesis here. All right, so he gives thoughts to murdering Duncan. So if chance will have became my chance to become with my stir, you don't need the comma there since you have this end mark here. So you don't need to put the comma there. You're doing the citation correct, so which is good. My main problem, for the most part, is almost all of this is plot. And we'll get into where you're actually getting into analysis. Even this is semi-plot. After much debate and many talks with Lady Macbeth, and I think I'd be even more specific with that. It's not like they're talking like a couple. She's literally calling him a coward and saying if he doesn't do it, he's not a man. So I think you can be much more specific with that. I know you want to try to keep the focus on Macbeth, but that definitely has an effect on him as well. He knows that the transgression, good word, he's about to commit is completely immoral. No comma there, but believes it is the only way to become king. This isn't a complete sentence, so you don't need that comma there. And there's another, here's a good place for word choice as well, that these notions, find another word that means go against, clash with everything he's ever lived, something like that. I don't know, something that's a little bit more punchy than that. So he's corrupted by his own ambition, allowing him to act on impulse and craving for power, which is getting back to your thesis. But then you jump right back into plot. After Duncan's death and return of Macbeth's sense of morality, he's left unable to say the words. Now, you have a period here, so what words? But then I look in the next sentence, I have killed Duncan. So I think what you meant to say is, comma, I have killed Duncan. But then you have a period here, but yet you don't have a capitalization here, calling his murder the deed, and you don't have an end mark here, an end punctuation there. So this whole passage right here, Adrian, is rife with some errors here. I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to say or how you're trying to say it. So really clean that up. All right, so the sudden sense of right and wrong leaves Macbeth haunted by the sorry sight. Now I get back into the whole conflict of morals thing, which is tying back to your thesis, but I really don't think you've really dived into much analysis yet, other than he does have a conflict, and what is that conflict ultimately doing to him at this particular point? The blood reminds him of his sin, scrupulous sin. I like that. He's ultimately committed multiple cowardice acts in order to gain power due to a lack of moral constraint. So again, this is tied to the thesis, but I'm not sure you're really adding on to it or repeating it. And this is a nice transition statement. But I really don't feel like you're really diving down. Now, this maybe, is this strong enough? Are you, giving yourself enough, meat in here to really chew on down in your body paragraphs? Because, like I said, most of this paragraph seems like it's straight up just plot. So something to think about as you move forward. All right, Adriana, we're going to talk about some comma errors in here as we move into this second body paragraph. Again, I feel like your topic sentence isn't strong enough. This is pretty much just a statement of what happens in the play. It's not diving into any kind of theme or lesson or what we're supposed to learn about it. So after Macbeth has lost control of Scotland, comma, he sets out to kill Banquo and Fleance. All right, so you did this pretty well up there with the whole embedded quote, steal his fruitless crown, which is awesome. And that's even the passage where he talks about it, which is good. So the fear of Banquo can be related back to his ambition. Now that he holds the diadem of Scotland, comma, he does not want to lose his power or position to those he considers a threat. So he has little to no hesitation. He feels no remorse after discovering that Banquo was dead and Fleance escaped, although he's really upset that Fleance escaped, though. So be careful about the whole remorse thing. I don't know if you can lump those two together. Here's a comma splice. So you have a comma in the middle, but it really should be something else. You either need a conjunction or a semicolon or break the sentence up. He only holds a fear of Fleance in his heart, stating Fleance will one day become a threat to his reign. I'm not exactly sure what that means. Only holds the fear in his heart. I don't know. You need to explain that one. Can be excused because they were done in the pursuit of power. And I would love, and this is where, down here especially, I think you really need to have some embedded quotes to back this up. Because I'm not sure you can back this up. He does say that he wants him dead. He does say that his kids challenge him for the crown, but I mean, I guess you could. I guess that's the pursuit of power. I don't know. I feel like an embedded quote would help this, though. Be a little bit more reality. To support this way of thinking, comma, Macbeth continually reminds himself of the threat Banquo had posed to his kinghood. As Macbeth's need for power over others grows, comma, oh, sorry, no comma, you are correct. So has his ability to kill without hesitation or remorse. Okay, so we do have a couple comma errors in here that we need to address, Adriana. Again, I don't feel like we're really diving into much analysis, way too much plot. I mean, really, the bulk of your paragraph has got to be just straight up analysis and using those embedded quotes to get you there. All right, Adriana, we get to the end of your body paragraph here, and you're actually doing what I think you should have been doing earlier. All right, so again, this feels like plot, so go back and look at that. All right, so I like the idea of fearing Macduff. He loses his last sliver of morality, and his thirst for power takes total control. Again, can we take it a step forward? And because of all that, what is that bigger theme? Because that's, you eventually get into down here, which we'll talk about in a second. So I like this concept of, the first things of his heart should be the first things of his hands, which is what he decides to do. He's thrown any last sense of morality to the wind. Now, good. At this point, this first sentence is basically plot. But this last part this paragraph is more closer to the pattern you need to follow of the say, show, mean. Okay? You have your topic, which is your say. You have your show, which is the, plot elements. And then you have your mean, which again, he'll act on his thoughts immediately. This thought process leaves no room for Macbeth to declare his actions as just or unjust. I like that statement. It's really good. Instead, he'll come to believe all of his actions are justified. See, this is the kind of train of thought that I like. I feel like you're really starting to analyze in this particular part. it contributes to his overconfidence, and the down of the previously noble Macbeth. That's one part where even an embedded quote doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's fine that you used it there. But this is much closer. I'd love to have maybe like one more sentence or two in here of analysis, but that's really, this paragraph is more along the lines of what your other paragraphs should be. All right, everything in your conclusion is okay. When you repeat your main points or summarize them, don't be afraid to get into even more specifics. The man, you can bring up Duncan's name again. But again, think about it. It was all about men, right? Men that opposed him, Duncan and Banquo and Macduff, which you don't mention Macduff either. I don't like unfortunately here. And Macbeth was unable to do this, leading to his loss of humanity. Seems like is a weak last sentence. So that I would definitely want to work on that. The only problem with your works cited page, you got some space up here. You need to move it up, and this should be a period here at the end. Other than that, you're good. All right, Adriana. Definitely need to work on more of the mean part of your essay. Couple grammar, comma things. Maybe punching up some of that language, and especially punching up that organization at the beginning and the end. You have a strong first sentence, a strong last sentence to kind of lead us out. You're on the right track. Just got to get you there a little bit more. So good luck on the rewrite.